Hello and welcome to another edition of the Fatu Network News Review. Today, Tuesday, 10th July 2018. I am Omar Wali. In the headlines today, the Standard newspaper is reporting that Kurang acts from the Commission. The Standard newspaper said the Secretary General of the Janneh Commission, Alhaji Mamadou Kurang, who recently made allegations against the Council Ami Bensouda, in a letter sent to President Barrow, has been terminated. And another news, O.J. Jallo's sacking is not related to fertilizer scandal. That is the Justice Minister saying that O.J. Jallo's removal is not as a result of the fertilizer scandal. The forensic identify remains of Sandeng and others. That is the Solo Sandeng and those involved in the December 30th attack. The ex-MD Jiba explained GPS share in GAM Petroleum, that is Mahmoud Lamin Jiba, and the Gambians to enjoy fast internet service from December this year. So the Standard newspaper is saying that the Secretary General of the Janneh Commission, Alhaji Mamadou Kurang, who recently made allegations against Council Ami Bensouda in a letter sent to President Barrow, his service has been terminated. The news of this development was confirmed by the Minister of Justice, Bartamedu, yesterday at a press conference. According to Bartamedu, Alhaji Kurang made numbers of unproven allegations against Bensouda, which went beyond the confines of his administrative authority, which were principally to execute the orders of the Commission and not question the wisdom or the motivation of the underpinning those orders. And the same minister also, Tambedu, also has said that O.J. Jallo's sacking has nothing to do with the fertilizer scandal. You may remember O.J. Jallo and several other ministers were relieved of their duties a few weeks ago. And Tambedu also said at the same press conference that has revealed that over the past week, the government has received a team of forensic scientists with the support of the Justice Rapid Response, an international NGO working in the area of international criminal justice. Tambedu told journalists that the forensic scientists are in cooperation with the Gambia Police Force Forensic Unit. They have conducted examinations on the human remains that were exhumed sometimes last year, including the presumed remains of Solo Sandeng and Njaga Jan and Alhaji Jadinas, whose bodies were exhumed in Tintimba in Fonyi. And Mahmoud Lamin Jiba, the former managing director of the Gambia Ports Authority, has also claimed before the Janneh Commission that no due diligence has been carried out in the sales of GPA's 10% share in GAN Petroleum. Jiba, whose assets were frozen by the inquiry earlier last month, made the claims yesterday when he reappeared before the Commission of Inquiry, together with the current managing director, Ablaye Tambedu, to shed light on GPA shares and investment in GAN Petroleum. Oli Bitey Cham, a telecom engineer, Gamtel NBA project, has also revealed that the Gamtel, through the National Broadband Network project, will provide affordable and accessible internet throughout the country effective December. She made this revelation at the 4th National Internet Governance Forum, which was held last week. And moving on to the Point newspaper, the Supreme Court hears the UDP petition on Kuntauru chairmanship. Dabo tells Barrow, I shall be your side to deliver. And senior journalists also, and media professionals also training opens in Beijing. Another 3,000 metric tons of fertilizer arrives in the Gambia. That is from the Point newspaper. The Voice newspaper is reporting that Barrow says individual attitudes towards work reflect collective achievements. And the Janneh Commission Secretary Service terminated, that is Kurang. And the same story on the Standard newspaper, the forensic scientists identified the bodies of Solo Sandeng. And Dabo also pledged to serve President Barrow's agenda, the same which was held yesterday at the swearing ceremony in State House. Ibrahim Sankare has also been confirmed. He also took out of office yesterday as the spokesperson of the government. And the Fourier newspaper also reporting the same matter, that new cabinet members were sworn in yesterday, and the Faraba Commission commenced inquiries yesterday. You may remember a commission of inquiry has been set up into the Faraba incident, and Foria is reporting that they began sitting yesterday at Atlantic Hotel in Banjul. Almost all the papers are carrying the same headlines. I also have in the studio with me here Mr. Almami Fandintal, who is a lawyer and the spokesperson of the United Democratic Party. Mr. Tal, welcome.
Thank you very much, Omar.
Before we start with the Supreme Court hearing on UDP petition, let's talk about the service of Alhaji Kuran being terminated. What do you make of this decision? Does it undermine the commission or what?
No, the Commission of Inquiry has been holding public sessions. So in terms of its record has been captured through numerous channels and media. Therefore, the integrity of that process or part of the secretarial work is not going to be affected in any way. So to talk about undermining the commission, really, I don't think that issue would arise. Please remember that commissions of inquiries are, by their nature, time limited. And the most important thing is the record. What was said, what evidence were introduced, what exhibits were retained, which goes to the institution, not to a person. So serving as a secretary of a commission of inquiry, it is important that that person is not seen to be serving himself or serving as an individual. He is serving as part of a team. And public service is such that when you are part of a team, the worst thing you can do is to make unfounded allegations. If you have any concerns or any queries, please direct it to the relevant minister, to the relevant permanent secretary, to the relevant senior administrator that you are interacting with. Teamwork can only happen if people have the same confidence in each other and believe in the credibility of each other. So it is really a matter of concern that some people are appointed to positions without themselves being aware of the implications of certain actions. I hear in the media also that we should have a whistleblowers law, and people who blow the whistle should be protected. All of these things seems to me quite misconceived. The Commission has a clear terms of reference. It is to work for a very definite period. And all the record that is created and that is produced by the Commission is to be kept by the Commission, of course, in the custody and care of the Secretary, the Executive Secretary. Thereafter, their recommendations would be presented to the President who set up the Commission in the first place. Those recommendations may be appealed in courts of law. The recommendation may not be accepted by the President, but the recommendations may also become accepted and implemented to the letter of the recommendation.
The Justice Minister said Kuran made allegations that he couldn't even prove. But part of it was like they want to sell the tractors. Was it, okay, let's put it this way. Was it proper for a commission to auction tractors when they didn't even finish with their, or do any conclusion on what they're supposed to do?
It is proper in the circumstances for the Commission to make any orders because it is constituted by law and the law empowers it to make decisions about whether to declare Almamital a close associate or not, whether to freeze accounts. All of these are powers that are vested in the Commission by law. Suppose there are things that are capable of damage or are easily perishable, even when it is before a court. Normally there would be an order so that by the time that the process is concluded, not more than necessary wear and tear happens to it. So imagine if these tractors have been in country for the last 5, 6 years or 10 years. Any further delay, especially with the coming rains, may make it very of very little value, really. That could be one of the reasons. But all I'm saying is that as a commission, it has been empowered to act almost like a court. And once it determines that it is in the best interest of the case to order either the sale or the declaration of any interim orders, it does so, and there is no reason to question the authority of the commission, because remember, it's not the council who is selling it, it's the commission of inquiry that is selling it.
Now, you said sometimes they may appoint people who do not even know their responsibility as well. So what do you think they should learn from this thing? Because there was a confrontation. We can see Ami said she cannot work with Kurang. Either one of them had to leave. Now Kurang left.
Yes. No, I mean, it's very important if you are appointing people to public offices, especially high-profile offices, for them to understand that they are going to come to be part of a team that is going to work according to law. All of these things that you're seeing going on, happening, is because the law permits it. So under those circumstances, it is important that the person has some experience, prior experience in working in the public service, understanding that it is not, you know, a cowboy game. Because I have seen also that some executive secretaries have written open letters to the president about situations, prejudging the outcome of those situations. And quite frankly, I think sometimes these are things that people, especially the journalists, you don't ask the right questions, as if I may say so, because anybody who is appointed to a high office, you must be in a position to scrutinize it. Yeah. I mean, just listening to your headlines, the most important headline has been completely sidelined by this commission matter. Yeah. A new cabinet has been established 18 months after the first cabinet, and there is a new vice president in the Gambia. And, you know, there are new cabinet members. Some of them have been in cabinet before. I think every journalist has a responsibility to reprofile these people and comment on their suitability or otherwise in taking these offices. Because that is, I believe, in my humble opinion, more interest to the citizens, because not everybody knows me. If I am in a high office, people should profile, look at my record, look at my performance, look at all the things that are there. And, you know, they would be in a better position to say that, oh, we don't expect that such and such things could be happening. The scrutiny that is given to high public offices, quite frankly, by the journalists in this country, leaves a lot to be desired.
You are a lawyer, not a journalist. In journalism, that is what we call the maximum point of interest. Hopefully, before the end of the week, they might report on the profile, because most of these ministers, Dr. Toure, Ousainou Darboe, are known, except Sidibe and, well, Silla. Even Silla is well known. Now, moving on to the same subject. In the event that, for example, what Alaji did, what do you think was the right steps when Ami was doing things, allegedly doing things that were illegal or that are not intended with the law?
And this is what I'm saying. The question of illegality or not in compliance with the law is not the responsibility of the Secretary to the Commission.
So whose responsibility is that?
The responsibility of that is the chairman of the Commission and by extension the chief legal advisor of the government.
I have to interrupt you there. How about if the chief legal officer and the chairman, they are not aware of that?
I mean, it's their responsibility to be aware of the layout of the commission. These are things that the commission can do. These are things that the commission cannot do. I mean, it is trite to say that if you are the chairman, you know exactly what everybody else is going to do. I mean, recently we had the IGP resign. Yes. He was not even aware of what was going on there. So I'm saying that once you are empaneled or empowered to lead a process, this whole idea that somebody may be on a frolic of his or her own does not arise. So really, I mean, the proper thing would have been to engage the chairman of the commission, to go to the legal advisor of the government and say, look, these are things that I have observed, and I believe there are issues that are not correct or they are not proper, then the chief legal advisor would tell him whether he has substance or not. So clearly when he had his press conference, the Attorney General, he explained that those allegations are unfounded. Because just because Al-Mamital says something does not mean that it is true. Just because you are in the commission and you observe certain things that you believe are improper or is not correct. Because serving as a lawyer for FATU Network does not make you complicit in the activities of FATU. You are there to provide legal advice. If FATU wants to sell shares, if FATU wants to extend her activities, that's the company I mean. Yeah. So really, I mean, to jump from that, I don't know the facts of this case, but it's clear to me that with an experienced person in charge of the affairs of the commission, this situation would not have arisen.
So now, he is out of this thing. Does it mean that there will be a vacancy or a vacuum at the commission at the moment?
I certainly don't think so, because, you know, commissions of inquiry in the past, normally they are populated by the state law officers. Yeah. You have the chairman, who may be an outsider, but the council, including the secretariat, is provided by the state law office. So, I mean, they are already there. They are within the mix. They are au fait with the activities. So I don't believe it would be very difficult to replace him. I don't think there would be any vacuum or any gap.
Okay, you stay. I will come back to you again, because we have another news here, like Abdou Toure, who was the director of TV programs at the Gambia Radio and Television Services, has been appointed the new Director General of GRTS. He replaces Ibrahim Silla, who has been elevated to the as Minister of Communication, Information and Infrastructure. And I called him today, but I could not reach him. But a senior official at GRTS has confirmed Toure's appointment as the new Director General. And coming back to you again, the UDP, the Point newspaper is reporting that the Supreme Court hears the UDP petitions in Kuntaru chairmanship. Are you aware of this case?
I am.
So these chairmans have been sworn in, but still now UDP filed this. As a layman, can you enlighten me on this subject?
Yes. Because the matter is before the Supreme Court, yeah, clearly I cannot comment on the merit of the case. But just to say that petitions, especially election petitions, are heard by the Supreme Court, and in its wisdom, it will determine the case. And as you know, the UDP is committed to the rule of law, and we want to do everything by the book. Just to say that we are not going to try to be disruptive about any of these processes. We will let the law take its course, and as soon as the Supreme Court decides the matter, we will be able to make our actions known. But really, it's our right as a political party to petition elections where we doubt the veracity of the votes.
Another issue has to do with the APRC deputy party leader. On Friday, he said that Jammeh will come again and rule the country for the second time.
Yeah, I mean, you know, for me, the APRC is a completely discredited party, and the characters that are going around talking about the coming back of Jammeh, you know, people should not listen to them, because these people have nothing to offer the people. Just recently, that same character went to elections and he lost, you know. So really, to say Jammeh is going to come back and rule the Gambia, Jammeh himself is a fugitive of justice. We will see at the conclusion of this NIA 9 case, his direct complicity in the murder of Solo Sandeng. So if people are going around saying that a fugitive from justice is going to come back and rule here, of course, people have every right to, you know, question their sanity. That kind of, you know, stupid comment, we cannot, you know, we cannot waste any time on it. But, you know, again, you journalists, you insist on printing for maximum impact or whatever it is. These things, these people have been discredited completely. So there is no need to spend any of your time popularizing their, you know, delusionary statements like that. Who does it help?
No, it's not about popularizing, but when we are talking about access to media in this country, so everybody should be given that opportunity.
Omar, you know me, I know you. You give access to everybody. But these fringe comments and statements, what is it, who is it going to help? Who is it going to benefit? This Rambo guy saying this thing, everyone knows it's nonsense.
Mr. Tal, agree with me or not, we have seen people who were trouble, but they came to power. I can give you two examples. For example, Olusegun Obasanjo was in power and he was removed and he came again. General Muhammad Buhari in 1984, he was toppled and he came again. So don't you think there's a likelihood of something like that will happen?
But these are, you're comparing apples and oranges, my brother. General Obasanjo was a military general. He took over as a military general. He was taken out by a military general. That era is past in Africa. Now, do you think Obasanjo will make a comeback?
Well, he made an attempt. It was unfortunate that Nigeria did not allow him.
Of course. Similarly, Gambians are never going to allow Yahya Jammeh to come back. Not only Yahya Jammeh, anybody who is talking about Yahya Jammeh coming back is not going to be a participant in the political life of this country because they have discredited themselves. I mean, what is it called? Omar, we cannot be spending all our time looking back. It's time for this country to look ahead. You know, characters like this guy should not be giving any oxygen because they don't belong in the future. They belong in the past. Who needs Yahya Jammeh to come back in the Gambia? Omar, do you need Yahya to come back?
Well, I'm a journalist, so but I would not say whether I need Jammeh to come back. So, but I have to throw the question back to you again. So, how about your party? Now, you have been in, at least, although it's a coalition government, but there is a lot of saying that there is a backpedaling, what happened, the cabinet reshufflement, and so on. So what are your plans for the party in the near future?
The plan of the party is transparent, it's clear to everyone. We want to be the party of government.
Yes.
Our leader has said this.
What I was saying that, like, Ousainou, there was an audio which went viral and people were talking like Ousainou said they will not form kind of a coalition government. In the event there is something like that in the near future, will your party go into a coalition?
Coalition governments by themselves are very useful nowadays for the simple reason that the supermajorities of the past, nobody can get them. We are not averse as a party to coalition government. We are just saying at all times that a coalition government must be party-led. The party with the greatest majority should lead a coalition. This is how coalitions are formed all over the world.
So, which political party is the biggest in the Gambia?
Do I have to answer this question, Omar?
Yes. You might claim that UDP is the biggest party. Other people in other parties also will say their party is the biggest.
I'm not going to claim that. I'm not going to claim that. Okay,
let me put it in a very simple way. Is your party the biggest political party in this country, the UDP?
No question about this. You go to the National Assembly, you have representatives of parties. You come to municipal government, you have representatives of parties. And I mean, it's very clear that the current president was from our party.
Yes.
And he is elected as an independent candidate.
Yeah. Okay. He was elected as an independent candidate. Hello?
Yeah, hello.
That's Banka Mane, right? Mr.
Yeah, this is Banka.
Banka, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Omar, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
So let me go straight to the Standard newspaper. The Standard is reporting that forensic identified the remains of Solo Sanding and others. And the others include your comrade who were killed during the December 30th attack. And their body was exhumed last year in Tintimba. So, and they said they have identified the bodies. Somebody who was with these people. What does this mean for you?
This means a lot, really, if in fact the bodies have already been exhumed. and I'm talking about all of them, Solo Sandeng, Jagajan, Lamin Sane, Alaji Jajanyas, all of them really, because these are all colleagues and partners who have fought very, very hard for that country, gave up their lives for that country. So the families all this time really have been waiting for answers as far as what happened to their loved ones. And so for us to finally have a situation now where their bodies, which is very critical to this process, we must remember, which is that, for any human being, anybody for that matter, when you lose a loved one, one of the ways to deal with it in a proper fashion and in an orderly fashion, so you can bring some kind of closure to yourself and to the grief that you are, hit with, is to at least have the body, give them the right burial, the proper burial, and go through that whole process. Now, unfortunately, in these cases, we haven't had that yet. The families haven't had that yet. And it's very, very important that finally the families have access to these bodies so they can bury them. And, I know it's going to be very difficult, at least, because when you have these bodies around, obviously it will, if you will, open old wounds, if you want to call it that. And that's going to be a very, very difficult moment for the families. But I think they need that. They need that whole process over there. They need that time. They need that moment to be able to at least be able to move on with their lives. And I don't believe without this process where the bodies are handed over to the families and they bury the family members the way they would like to, will have any closure for these families. And definitely we need this. This is a big moment. It's very critical and it's very important. And I hope they will expedite the process to actually hand over the bodies to the families. This is very, very, very important for all of us, really.
So for you, the priority now for you is to hand over the body to the family members for proper burial?
Well, obviously, the forensic experts have to do their job. I mean, obviously, these are crimes that have been committed too. Let's remember. That is, these people, their rights were totally violated. The whole country has been hurt by their killings, and they were fighting for our cause as a country. These are our heroes. And obviously, so that means we have to have the justice component also dealt with. And again, even for the families too, that is also part of the whole process, not just the burial itself, but also to make sure that justice is served in these cases. And if that means, giving the forensic experts the evidence that they need, which is to kind of be able to look at all the components that they need to look at to gather all the facts that are going to be needed in the legal process, because now we are in the legal phase of things. Once they gather the evidence, I'm sure the authorities will use that evidence to bring the perpetrators to justice. So that's very critical too. But what I'm saying is that process needs to be expedited in a fashion where it doesn't compromise, obviously, the evidence gathering process, but also at the same time making sure that the families get these bodies in a timely fashion so that they can be able to move on with their lives.
Banka, I want you to enlighten me on that their rights been violated, because they came and with the hope to overthrow a government, and they lost their life in the process. Mm-hmm. So how do you mean by that their mm-hmm. rights have been violated?
Well, I mean, just you see, the moment we say they came to overthrow a government, then that is a very simplistic explanation of what actually happened. When a situation like this, or any case for that matter, happens, what you want to do is go to the genesis of the problem and then look at, so you can conclusively decide what actually the case in its totality means. So just to say they came to do who for what and why. Those are the questions we need to ask ourselves. If you have a murderous regime like the one that we had in the Gambia, if you have a government that really is on a daily basis violating the lives of citizens and killing women and children and destroying property and doing some horrible things, no country on the face of the planet will allow such a thing to happen within their borders. No country. The United States went to war because of those things. When the British were, you got to understand, the U.S. went to war against the British over taxation, taxes. taxes because they were being overtaxed. They didn't appreciate it. They said, you know what, we're going to go to war to end this madness. Countries went to war because they want to have their independence. Because why? Somebody is presiding over their lives and deciding for them how they should live their lives and everything. Countries went to war. People went to war for these things. So to really have the same or even worse situation in our case in the Gambia, and then insist that and boil down to quote unquote a coup d'état, who against who? Who against what? A tyrannical regime, and any government that turns to be a tyrant over its people, killing them and violating their rights on a daily basis, that government should be overthrown. That government deserves to be overthrown. So in the end, let's just bring it down to one simple fact, which is that we had a tyrannical government, an evil man presiding over killing so many people, deciding on who lives where and who lives and who dies. And that government really does not deserve to be in power. And it was either peaceful, through a peaceful means or a violent means. Yahya Jammeh decided he didn't want to go in a peaceful fashion. He wanted to go in a violent fashion. This is why, in the end, even ECOWAS decided to send in soldiers with guns blazing, almost blazing all over the place, to do nothing but to get rid of him out of power. Because even they understood this was the only language you understands, and that this is the only method that could get him out of power. The elections were a catalyst, but in the end product, what actually did the job was guns brought in with gunships, navy boats, jet fighters to get Jammeh out of power. Let's never ever forget that.
Now, Banka, you stay on the line. Just a minute. I have a lawyer with me. I will ask him. You stay there and he will respond. Mr. Charles, Banka said their rights have been violated.
I'm sorry?
I said, I have Almame Fandintal here. I don't know if you can hear us. I'm just asking him a question regarding what you said, that these people's rights have been violated. Was that the case?
Yes.
Well, when I say the people whose rights were okay, go ahead.
Can you hear us?
Much, but go ahead. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
But you said
Almame Tar will come in for a minute, and you can respond.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
All right,
yeah,
Mr. Charles.
No, we have a situation in the Gambia before this December incident. And by many descriptions, politically it was, a state capture, state coup d'etat, where you have an autocratic dictatorship. And the citizens, like Mr. Mane is saying, have every right to resist and ultimately even to give their life for the struggle. Strictly speaking, yes, they violated the law, but it was the same thing in South Africa. If you violate laws like that, they either try to kill you. They did it to Steve Biko. They did it to countless other South Africans. And Nelson Mandela became the symbol, who was in prison for 27 years. So if you have a dictatorship, if you have a violent political leadership, the only way you can hope to overthrow them is through as many means as possible. Of course, we were lucky that we still have the democratic process, and thank God in 2016 it got, what is it called? It got Yahya Jammeh out of here. But I don't think this kind of discussions, you can have a clear-cut analysis about it. It's not really about law per se. It is really about justice, because justice ultimately means that the laws themselves have to be just.
Banka, are you still on the line?
Yes, I'm here. I heard Almami, and I totally agree with him. I think the emphasis on the coup component really kind of almost harkens to this notion that somehow there was there was a law, and that law was being violated, and here and the other, and this is where the coup thing gets crept up all over the place. But at the end of the day, let's look at this strictly as people whose rights were being violated on a daily basis, and they had no recourse but to act the way they did. When Soros Sandeng went out on the streets, Technically, you have to remember, there were laws in the books saying you cannot do this. But he did it anyway. Why? Because that was the only avenue he had available to him. And so, I mean, if you look at it properly, you will realize that if Solo were to announce he's going out there and even try to apply for a permit, it wouldn't have been granted anyway. Why one can turn around and say, well, he was not granted a permit or he was not doing it, so he was violating the law and this, that, and the other. So he was trying to start a revolution in the country or trying to disturb the peace. But no, that wasn't the case. At the end of the day, the only avenue available to Solo was the avenue he decided to use, and he had every right in the end, the moral right, that is, not the legal rights within the books that people want to sometimes use, but the moral right to do what he did. And so we have to really celebrate these people for deciding that the laws decided not to protect the people. The laws were being, in fact, in some cases, used to as tools of oppression. And in the end, somehow, somebody has to stand up and say, you know what? It's right to morally incumbent upon all of us to violate the laws under these circumstances, because this is the only avenue we have available to us to get us out of the mess that we are in. And in the end, when you look at it, if Solo Sandeng did not go out and march on the streets, Gambia would not have been liberated today. If Njaga Jang and these brave men and women did not lose their lives at the State House that day, Gambia would not have been liberated today. If those April 10th and 11th students did not go out on the streets, Gambia would not have been liberated today. If those brave men and women did not go out in 2016 December to go out and brave in a brave fashion to vote despite the threats against them, well, Gambia would not have been liberated today. If the Hydra didn't die for the cause, writing what he was writing, telling truth to power, the Gambia would not have been liberated today. I can go on and on about all these instances that truly, when you look at them, one can call them whatever you want to call them, but in the end, they did what we all desire to have in the end. That is a truly democratic Gambia. So let's focus on that rather than the quote-unquote semantics of the legal components, which really, I don't think really answers the very basis of the question and the very foundation of where the problem actually emanated from.
Finally, Banka, how will you remember these three gallant men, as you call them?
I'm sorry?
I said, how will you remember the three slain colleagues, Papa Njaga Jang, Alaji Janyas, and Alaji Sane?
Well, Lamin Sane and Njaga Jang and Alaji Janyas and Captain Njaga Jang, Alaji Janyas, and Lamin Sane were these amazing, brave people. See, when it comes to Alaji Janyas, I didn't know him.
Okay.
I even never spoke to him. But Njaga Jang and Lamin Sane, I knew quite well. Njaga from Wales, all the way from high school. Lamin Sane, I met through his wife, and since then he and I really became fast friends, if you will. But one of the things that I've come to notice about these gentlemen is their desire for change in the Gambia and their love of humanity and their love of their country. They were comfortable in the West. They didn't have to do what they did. Njaga, was always telling me, man, come to madam for man, deals what's my job, man. But all he wanted was to go to Gambia, take care of this, and come back home to his family. Lamin Sane, this guy was so adamant about this that he believed this is the only way for us to have freedom for our people in the Gambia. He cared so much about his mom and the Gambian people that he felt that this is the only way to give them the freedom that they wanted. And I'm sure, I've never spoken to Alaji Janyas, but hearing the stories that I've heard about him, I'm sure he had the same desire, and this is what drove, basically, was the fuel that, got these people excited and wanting to do what they did, and even willing to give up their lives. And I'm telling you, if you sit these guys down, knowing what I know of Lamin Sane and Njaga Jang after having dealt with them, and Janyas, what I'm hearing about him from family members and friends, if one were to sit them down today and said, will you do this again the way you did it and losing your life once again? They will tell you, yes, we will do it. They were willing to do what they did. And frankly, Gambia owes them a debt of gratitude. Solo Sandeng, I was one of the last people who spoke to Solo Sandeng the very day he was arrested and killed. I spoke to Solo. I was on the phone with Solo. As determined as he was and as brave as he was, when I think of Solo, he's just such an amazing man. These people, we should name bridges and streets after them. We should celebrate them. We should comfort their families. We need to do whatever we can to put them up there as examples for our nation, so that people can truly understand what they were all about. Deda Harana, the same thing. He was like an uncle to me. His wife's sister brought me up. These guys, I was lucky, and I consider myself very, very lucky to be among a few people, maybe, or many people, who happen to know them and dealt with them. And frankly, these are examples that we really need to celebrate as a nation. Make sure that the kids learn about them in our schools. Make sure that our educational curriculums reflect their ideals, their visions, and their desires for what that country should be all about.
Thank you so much.
And we need to make sure that we do what we have to do to keep their memories alive.
Thank you so much, Banka Mane, for your time.
Thank you to you both.
Well, that is Banka Mane. He was also involved in December 30th attack, and we'll have a short break. When we come back, we'll continue with the program.
Hey, what are you doing here?
I'm going to replace my AfriCell 3G SIM card.
Why use a 3G SIM card when you have a 4G phone? Replace your 3G SIM card today for the real AfriCell 4G SIM and receive 1 GB of internet data for free.
Really?
Yes, get 1 GB for free just by replacing your SIM card at any AfriCell outlet with no loss of contact. The cost of bundle from the 3G SIM card is the same for the 4G SIM. And guess what? With the 4G SIM card, you can also connect to the 3G network as well.
This is so cool. I'll replace my 3G SIM card right away to the real 4G SIM and receive my very own 1 GB for free.
From AfriCell, it's always real and it's for free.
Where AfriCell goes, no one has the speed to follow.
Hello lovely viewers, welcome back to Viewers Deep with Mariam Cisse. Earlier on today, Answers tweeted and he said, "A picture speaks 1,000 of words. A country that has more than women than men, yet women are represented in the Gambia government." And to add salt on the injuries, President Adama Barrow appointed a man as Minister for Women Affairs. Kemo Bojang, on the other hand, also tweeted and he said, "I started my day by visiting some of the affected areas from the heavy rains. I plan on visiting more of these affected areas in the coming days and to help the council in coming up with solutions to improve living conditions." CNN Breaking News also tweeted and they say, "A New Jersey woman who depended on an electric power oxygen tank to breathe died hours after power was cut off to her home. Family members say the electric company says it was not aware of her medical condition." On the other hand, on Facebook, State House of the Gambia also posted and they say President swears in new cabinet. HE President Adama Barrow prescribed over the swearing in of the newly appointed Vice President and ministers of his cabinet. After taking the prescribed oath of office, allegiance and secrecy, the President congratulated all the appointees and reminded them of the need to work for the positive transformation and development of the country. Also, Gambian News Online also posted and they say brilliant Mansali grabs brace in Finland. Full story is on Facebook for more information. Thank you very much for watching. I love the viewers and stay tuned and don't forget to like our page on Facebook. Thank you very much.
TAF Africa Global is pleased to launch Dalaba Housing Estate. Dalaba Housing Estate is our newest estate located on the Sukuta Jabang Road. You can buy a finished 2 or 3 bedroom house or service plots accompanied with a free fence and gate. At Dalaba Housing Estate, you get to enjoy bituminized roads, gated and fenced properties, solar street lights, water reticulation, public amenities, 1,500 fruit trees aligned in streets and many more. Make a 40% down payment today and spread the balance conveniently for 10 years with GTBank, EcoBank and Trust Bank. Terms and conditions apply. Wait, this is the best part. We are giving a discount on outright payments. For more information and exceptional service, please call our office line on +220 4410 Better still, call us on mobile or via WhatsApp on +220 376 2333 or +220 776 2333. You can also visit our website on www.tafafricahomes.com. TAF Africa Global. Our experience is global. Our focus is Africa.
Well, viewers, welcome back after that short commercial break. I am Omar Wali and my co-host, like as I said during the introduction, she is out of the country. But I'm here with a lawyer and the spokesperson of the UDP, Almame Fandintal. We spoke about the commission, the UDP petition, and other things. So finally, before we close the program, Mr. Tal, what will be your final message?
That the country is moving successfully through this transitional phase of its development, that we all should be as law-abiding and be faithful to the national pledge and anthem. Let us all understand that this country belongs to all of us, that we are one people and we have a shared destiny, and every day we should thank God that we are living in a free democratic society.
I said final question, but let me ask you another final question. You presided over the mayoral debate, and when the Standard newspaper called you, you confirmed that at the time you were spokesperson of UDP. At the same time, you were in the panel discussion. Don't you think, don't that think whatever you call it, compromise you as a panelist in that debate at the place?
I would like to know how it compromised.
Because you belong to a party.
Yes.
And you were there, like UDP was, you are UDP, and UDP mayoral candidate was part of that debate.
Yes. I mean, it's also important to get context here. That mayoral debate, I started it as president of the IVLP. And the person that I interviewed for the first time was Halifa Sallah, who was speaking on behalf of the coalition. So its evolution is a very satisfactory thing to me, that in the various capacities that I have served in this country, I have tried to be a columnist, a rule of law columnist for the Point newspaper. I have served on boards, and I have done so many things. What I bring to any task is my professional skills and dispassionate temperament. But for your viewers and for your listeners, all the questions were set by the debate commission. It was given to me and my co-moderator. So it's not like I was there on a party ticket. Okay. But, you know, again, this is what I was trying to explain, that when a story breaks, the journalists, like you said, they want to look for the maximum point of impact or interest or whatever you call it. Because what happened was that everybody was so congratulatory after the debate, that the debate was so good. As soon as it came out that I am UDP spokesperson, people start saying, oh, there is a conflict of interest. I just wanted to be pointed out. Where is the conflict of interest?
What they might be questioning was your neutrality, because no matter what.
No, but in a debate like that, where you have questions from a commission, you were there just to moderate, and everybody could see you. If you were impartial or if you were biased, it would be obvious. My learned friend, what is his name again? Martin. Yeah. You know, Martin, you know, decided in the last minute to start attacking me, personally. But what I'm just trying to say is that for me, I was trained as an advocate. Today I can advocate for Omar Wali. Tomorrow I can advocate for Fatou Camara. This is how I'm trained. It does not bring bias, especially when you are before people. It was for people to judge. When they did not know my political leanings, everybody thought it was, an amazing debate. People were calling me from everywhere, congratulating me. But as soon as this thing happened, they say, oh, he should not have done that, he should not have been. I said, well, the context is that I brought this thing here. Under the American embassy, we organized the first debate ever. So Bagari took it from me, and he is doing an amazing job. Right. In the public space, when we are there, let us try first to be Gambians, before party, before religion, before anything, because that is what we are going to take away to the world. But here, I think, because people don't have ideas, they don't have projects, they try to personalize everything.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Almame Fandintal, for your time.
Thank you.
Well, viewers, this is what we have for you today, which from me and my team, thank you for your time. See you tomorrow.
lempo warugal la si képp koo xam ne doomi réew mi nga ak ñu fi dëkk bu fekkee ne ci at mi sa koom-koom weesu na $2,400 dalasi mbete weer bu nekk di nga am lu tollu si $2,000 dalasi lempo si la nguur gi di sukkandiku ngir liggéey yokkute réew mi GRA mooy banxaas bu nguuri Gambia sas ngir mu fayeku lépp luy lempo ci biir réew mi ba tax na GRA di yëgal faykati lempo yi ne warugal la pour ñu fay lu ñu naan withholding tax on contract payment maanaam bépp contrat bu waay joxe te si biir réew mi la ñu toog kon xaalis si contrat bi ngeen nangotoo war nga cee wàññi ci xayma téeméer bu nekk fukka bu fekkee ne contracto bi dëkkut ci biir réew mi bu boobaa di nga war a wàññi téeméer bu nekk fukka ak juróom lii mooy lempo bu ñu naan withholding tax on contract payment lii mooy lempo bi nga xam ne yow mi joxe contrat warugal la nga wëlbatiku dem fay ko ci maakaani GRA tax office bu la gën a jege mbete ci banque yi GRA jagleel pour fay lempo war ngaa jébal lempo bi si diiri fukki fan ak juróom gannaaw bi nga wàññee ci xaalis si contrat bi amul benn contracto bu ñu teggil fay lempo bi xanaa mu fekk ne nguuri Gambia ñoo ko jégale boole si projet yi nga xam ne mbootaay ndimbali ñoo koy dépense GRA di fayeku lempo ngir yokkute réew mi